Buenos estantes.
Buono estente.
Buono estente.
So as well as being somewhat of a writer, an author, and a graphic designer, I'm also somewhat of a musician. So a lot of the background music you've heard in my sort of non-album review videos thus far have actually been made by yours truly. And I wanted to just do sort of a video kind of series as well, similar vein of album reviews, but of my own music, because like I said in my intro video, I'm a complete and utter narcissist. So let's start off with Drowned Majesty that I released under the name Eon Blue in 2020. So this was the kind of second real major solo project I did. It was basically my kind of end of year, end of term course project that I made while I was at college studying music, and I think it's the product of its time, let's just say that much. So as you probably guessed by it being made in 2020, it was in the midst of the lockdown. In fact, pretty much I had everything all ready to go. I had, my other fellow students who would be working on it, fellow classmates, and yeah, then everything shut down, and it was all down to me, more or less. So much like the previous project that I did, Sunbleach, which I will be making a video on in May, the whole idea was just kind of pure creative self-indulgence, really. Kind of wearing my influences on my sleeve, admittedly, and while it is certainly very rough around the edges as something made by an amateur in their bedroom during a global pandemic would, it's an interesting point in my creative career as such. If you can really call what I've had a career. So main hurdles, of course, I couldn't, go into the studio we had at college to work on this in there, and couldn't get the other people who would be working on this. They would either not be available because they didn't have the recording facilities at home, or they'd have to, record it in their home. And but despite all that, I just want to say, first of all, the people that helped me out with this, that provided the vocals for the songs, your input is, again, greatly appreciated, and it would not have been able to have been made without you. So I just want to give my thanks to Sam Larson and Shannon Taylor, who provided vocals on the tracks Lack of Feeling and Way, respectively. I kind of wanted to basically kind of do what I did in the previous year with Sunbleach, which again I will go more into in that video, but sort of, trying to go bigger and better, and failing due to things out of my control, out of all of our control. But it was just a good fun little development of my journey thus far. But it's been fun. So the cover art for the EP, I actually made this like quite a few years beforehand. It was a picture I took back in, I think, 2016, 2017, back when I was studying photography. And basically, it's just a tree flipped upside down, colours inverted with the words on it, and I'm still quite proud of it, to be honest. I think it looks alright for as amateurish as a project as it was, but I do think the artwork for Sunbleach was a little bit better, but that's the extent of my Photoshop skills anyway. So basically the original plan for this was to take kind of, again, what I did the previous year and just make it bigger. So I was actually going to collate an actual full band of people for like temporarily to rehearse, to teach them, rehearse and perform the tracks live, because part of the course was, part of our main exams was an end of term performance, and I wanted to sort of go ahead with this, but of course that whole side of things didn't turn out to be, and we were all inside for a while, which honestly in the long run actually worked out quite well, because I don't think it's the drums, certainly on Lack of Feeling, I don't think are particularly, they're quite awkward. Look, I'm not a drummer myself. I don't know how to program drums, and I didn't know how to program them at the time. I'm a little bit better now, a little bit, but overall, it's I think it's better for everyone that that car crash never occurred in the first place. And I'm never really much of a fan of performing live. Anyway, that's kind of that's a big thing with me. Is just I don't like performing live. I'm not a fan of live music and going to gigs, which I know is a little bit weird for, such a music fan as myself, but that's That's what autism does to you. This is all written by me in my, written and recorded in my bedroom beforehand. I got basically all sort of the bassline stuff done, so I programmed the drums, a lot of the synths and guitar work. I got it pretty much almost entirely recorded even before the end of the term began, because I wanted to get ahead of the curve with it, which, just so you know, I'd have something ready to give to people to learn and rehearse, which again ended up being utterly redundant, but hey, you live and you learn. So going into the general track listing, I wanted to copy again kind of what I did with the previous EP, Sunbleach, which was basically a soft intro track that leads into a proper full song in the second track. So it opens with track 1, Dominion of Light. I just wanted this to be a simple, short, instrumental track that just kicked things off, getting that kind of cinematic, atmospheric thing started off with melodic edges, and of course I had to just sneak in a bit of odd time signature stuff in there because I was a massive prog nerd back then, and I still am. It was quite fun to mess around with different delay and pitch shifting effects with the piano and the synths and that, which I honestly had no idea what I was doing, but I did it, and it was good. Well, I say that. So the full album stream is on, well, EP stream is on my channel. Uploaded it back in roughly in 2020 when I made it, and if you give it a listen, it's rough around the edges, as again you'd expect from something a demo made in my bedroom, but just it really shows just how little I knew about mixing and mastering back then, because it is pretty rough sounding, and I think at times it does kind of detract from what I was trying to go for, but again, you know, it's a kind of live and you learn kind of thing. But then leading into lack of feeling. So this was going to be me like trying to properly go into like the more sort of technical-ish prog side. I created a riff in 5/4 time, because of course I had to. The riff flows decently well, but again, I cannot program drums to save my life, and getting my poor friend Joe to try and learn this was like, look, he's a good drummer. He was a very good drummer, but I don't think even he could pull this off. It was, I mean, here's a sample. Yeah, and it's quite interesting as well, being that basically Sam, who provided the vocals for this song, basically had to record this in just his wardrobe because he didn't have none of us really had the facilities to do stuff properly in our bedroom. So, and again, just the mixing and mastering on my end just kind of didn't really do his performance justice. And again, we're all very pushed for time and resources and that kind of stuff. But the fact that this even got made in the first place is a miracle, honestly. But yeah, he also provided the guitar solo for this song as well, because I didn't really feel particularly confident in my guitar skills overall, and the guy who was supposed to provide the sort of lead guitar work, he again didn't even have the facilities to record anything to provide, so it was down to Sam and I provided the guitar solo on the next track, Way, but we will get to that in a moment. I was trying a little too hard to be kind of proggy on this one, again with what, you know, 5/4 time awkward riff and sort of the deliberately kind of not quite diatonic chord progression and that kind of stuff, but it just, I think with certainly some refining here and there, it could have been a good track. The ideas are certainly there, but it is fun to look back at it and just sort of see where I was and where my mind was, and thinking that, you know, this actually sounded good. Look, I'm maybe being a bit too harsh on myself. Like, it has its elements, but it's held together by duct tape, honestly, this whole EP, to be honest. So moving on to track Way, this is where my friend Shannon actually provided vocals for this song. So this was me trying to go even further into the prog side of things, so I didn't go full on odd time signature, although again there is the sort of main interlude riffs is in 5/4 because I had to make it in 5/4 because I had to make it prog. It wasn't prog enough, I had to make it more proggy. And it is over 8 minutes long because again, I had to make it prog. But this one was kind of more influenced by kind of sort of the sludge, stoner, doom metal bands I was kind of listening to at the time. particularly the band Yob, if you know Yob. I think I discovered them through the song Adrift in the Ocean, which I love that song, it's amazing. One of the main issues I'd found with sort of earlier stuff with trying to make it prog was, I think, just making the songs long, and by that just repeating certain sections and just sort of extending it out to make it sound bigger, but overall it didn't really, that's not how it works, and I feel that I did sort of was able to justify the length on Way, although, you know, I think you'll be the judge of that if you want to give it a listen. A lot of the stuff, so this was a lot more deliberate, and I think this is probably one of the better songs I've written from this time. It's definitely, I think, the best song on the EP, the best structured one. Again, there's still some like refining that needs to be done here and there, and it could have done with much better mixing. I also, with the fact that Shannon, as a vocalist, she's more focused on indie pop, bedroom pop, dream pop, R&B, that kind of stuff, that have kind of a different vocal approach to this song as opposed to sort of your more traditional kind of thing you go for in a song like this. Was, you know, it was a deliberate choice, and I wanted to kind of make it a bit, you know, a bit different and stand out, and it just kind of adds to the atmosphere. And I mean, she provided an amazing performance on this, because she was very much accustomed to home recordings and that kind of stuff. She had everything set up, but yeah, she provided an amazing performance on this song, so again, thank you, Shannon. But this was also the first song I think I ever tried really properly doing a proper guitar solo on. Again, the guy who was meant to provide, was meant to be our lead guitarist in this sort of temporary band, he, you know, didn't have the recording facilities at home, so it was down to me. And what I wanted to go for was just pure chaotic dissonance. So if you'll excuse me going into a bit of the guitar theory, music theory kind of stuff, and I'll go through kind of what my writing ideas was for this song, or this solo in particular. It's guitar time. So I was trying to go for a, again, quite a dissonant, foreboding sound, which is kind of the whole vibe of what I was trying to go for with this song. And basically kind of starts off with just ascending minor thirds like this. I'm not sure if this is going to be picked up or anything, but I'll try. And then from there, just a lot of dissonant bends and stuff, kind of unison bends, but bending it further, so it kind of really cries out with the really strong dissonance kind of stuff. And then from there, a bit of whole tone scale, because gotta have some whole tone scale. And just kind of like repeating those ideas before ending on a more kind of high, soaring, Gilmore-esque lead. So yeah, and I was kind of, the riffs mainly sort of circle around kind of more like droning riffs, kind of like this. So yeah, that was fun. I completely forgot about something. So, Lack of Feeling, for those who listen to it, will hear that it begins with a sample. On the video version I've got on my channel, it got cut off because I'm useless at using editing software. But if you listen to it on my SoundCloud, which link in the description, you'll hear the full sample, which, again, going with the title, Lack of Feeling, you hear some people say, like, I can't feel, and then people laughing. For those who recognise the voices, that's from the Yogscast. Yeah, I'm a big Yogscast fan, and I just wanted to put that sample in there because it was funny, and that kind of from, what was it? What was that game they were playing? That tabletop card game, I can't remember. Unemployed, was it? I can't remember. But, yeah, it's when, I think Trot just pulls the thing forward that he can't feel, and then they all laugh, and that kind of, yeah, fits in with the whole, you know, the song Lack of Feeling, which lyrically is a very sad song, quite dark lyrics, not that the lyrics really mean anything. I didn't have any like real intended meaning, I was just trying to go for vibes and that kind of stuff around this time. So like the track as a whole is just kind of meaningless, just going for vibes and that kind of stuff, but with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing there in the beginning, because I thought it was funny. So then after Way, another interlude tracks in Postmortem. Again, this is just me messing around with just more like ambient kind of stuff. It doesn't really need too much talking about it. It was fairly easy to set up and do all of the things, but yeah, but then we finish on the title track, Drown Majesty. This was really me trying to go out there with trying to push the boundaries and sort of my technical skill, which really was not there at the time. But this one, the rest of the songs on this album are in drop D tuning. This one's in drop B tuning, actually. And this was me kind of trying to go for a fun kind of industrial prog metal kind of thing. Again, trying to go for that cinematic edge where I try giving a vocal performance. But the thing is, I cannot sing. So I decided to do some spoken word over it, which I'm in two minds about. Because it's me who's done it, I find it a little bit cringe in places, like it's trying too hard to be edgy. But again, if you feel differently about this, then, you know, let me know in the comments below. But it was an interesting experiment. Not sure how well it went, but that's that thing. This is also the longest song on the album, probably one of the longest ones I've ever done, I think, being that it's 9 minutes long. Does it need to be 9 minutes? Absolutely not. It is just me kind of like stretching things out for way too long, and just kind of the technicality in my playing just was not there at the time, so it is lacking severely in that department, I feel. I don't think you quite hear it in the finished product, but my timing and just I'm so sloppy and messy with my playing on that one, and I wanted to be more like technical, do more solo stuff, but I really didn't have the faith in myself to do it, and probably for good reason, because it was just, my skills were just not there. Aside from that, I do think that, again, it's all a learning experience overall, and I did have fun making it, and it is fun to kind of look back on that time with a bit of, you know, rose-tinted goggles of nostalgia, but also to kind of see I've come far. You know, I'm not a professional by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but looking back to that, I can safely say that if I were to re-record that today, if I were to make it today, it would certainly end up a lot better. And not to mention, a lot of the riffs and musical ideas from this song in particular were kind of ripped off from there's a video game soundtrack for one video game, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was, but I know for a fact I I did rip off this lot of elements from this video game soundtrack quite heavily on this song. But yeah, that's the this is my creative skill. Apologies for flipping you off all this time of the video. But overall, yeah, this is an interesting was an interesting part of my life and my my creative endeavors. So yeah, if you do want to go give it a listen, then yeah, the full album streams on my on the YouTube channel, or you can listen to it on SoundCloud. Again, link is in the description below if you're interested, along with pretty much all my other stuff that I'm going to be talking about. I mean, you know, considering how and where I started, and I mean, I'm not exactly in the place I thought I would be 5 years on from then, but well, hey, you know, you live and you learn, and life always ends up with its funny little twists and turns, as it does. So probably going more in depth to probably sort of this era of my life back in the next video I have, well, the next retrospective one, which will be in May for Sunbleach, which will be the basically the predecessor to this. I did a year before this one, and go into a little bit more detail on just kind of where I was at the time, the kind of the creative ideas I was messing around with at the time. Yeah, so that will be next month, because I'm doing these based on sort of when in the year that I release them in the year that were released. So this one was released in April, around when this video is going out. Sun Bleach will go out around the time that Sun Bleach was released in the year, in mid-May. And along with all the other ideas I have, projects, videos, and yes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that is. It's next week. It's always going to be next week. But anyway, thank you, and I'll speak with you later. Bye.